Hey there, YouTube viewers. Rosie the Rose Girl here, and today I want to talk about something that's quite serious. I want to make this a two-parter because it's a very, very heavy subject. Rape is a very sour topic for a lot of people, myself included. Unfortunately, though, this is the very reason we must talk about it, for by talking about it, we can raise more awareness and reduce the chances of this vile crime happening to women, children, and yes, even men. The fact that anybody has to live with the traumatic memories of rape and other forms of sexual assault is contemptible in and of itself. Now, imagine that type of horror being inflicted on a child. Sadly, the sickening reality happens more than one may think. I'll put some statistics on the screen and cite my sources. Sorry, this is a heavy subject, sorry. Rape, molestation, and any other form of sexual abuse or perversion committed against another human being are some of the most tragic, heartbreaking, and traumatic forms of human indecencies that can occur in a person's life. For one, you sometimes don't know why the person committing the crime would do such a thing, especially if they are a family member, lover, or even a friend. For two, you sometimes start to wonder if maybe you were the cause of the act, or was it somehow your fault? Victim blaming should never ever be a thing, and the victim should never have to blame themselves or feel like it was their fault in any way. I was raped and or molested in my life, and I still live with these foul memories every single day. At the age of 4, I was raped. I know it was rape because I can still feel the pain from the event, and I remember begging and screaming for him to stop. I don't remember all of it as I was such a young age, but I know that it happened, and one of my cousins, who was only a little younger than I was, tried to comfort me after as I cried. Yeah, she stood there and watched as it was happening. I didn't understand why he had hurt me or why he didn't stop when I was begging him to. I was just a baby, for Christ's sake. After it happened, I remember my mother gave me a bath that night, and when she went to wash my area, I screamed. So she checked me down there, and she could tell something had happened. I don't exactly remember everything that happened that night because it was such a long time ago, but she cried, screamed, cussed, yelled, and threatened to kill the person who did it, and he was nowhere in sight. When she took me to the children's hospital the next day to be checked out, I looked back at the reception desk and saw the lady there get on the phone. As we were leaving, someone from, I'm guessing DHR, that's the Alabama Department of Human Resources, took me away from my mom. I was taken away from my mother for maybe a week or so until she found a safer place to live, away from the pervert that hurt me. I remember I went to a girls' home, and I went to stay with a family, though I don't remember their names. When I was 8, the person that did it the first time, though he didn't live with us, came to stay with us for a while, as my mom and I were at that time living with one of my aunts and 3 of my cousins. He got a hold of me when the rest of the family went upstairs to bed, and I was downstairs asleep on the couch. I was woken up, and even though I wasn't penetrated in any orifice, I was made to do something I was not proud of. I was ashamed as it was happening, and I was ashamed when it was over, and honestly, 31 years later, I'm ashamed of it now. I was scared and just did what he told me to do in order to get him off, just so he'd leave me alone. I prayed that he wouldn't enter me again. To this day, nobody in my family knows that it happened, because I didn't want to be taken from my mom again. Now again, I want to stress I was not penetrated in any orifice, not in my mouth or front to back. I was not penetrated, but it was something that was just terrible, and I hate thinking about it. When I was 11, my mom had a boyfriend who lived with us, He was considerably older than she, maybe by 15 years or more. He was addicted to drugs and was just a sleaze. I have no idea what my mom saw in him, and still to this day, I don't know what she was attracted to in him. I have no clue. One summer afternoon, I was asleep on the couch. I started having, oh God, this is embarrassing and gross, but I started having a sexual dream. Not about him, but just a sexual dream. And I woke up from it with a start to see him using a finger to massage a certain spot down there. When he realized I was awake, he stopped, smiled, and said, "Sorry, you just look so good. I couldn't resist." I told my mom, and she was fairly pissed. She cussed him out, she screamed at him, yelled at him, threatened him, called him every name in the book, and even after all that, why the hell she let that pervert continue living with us is beyond me. Anyway, when I was 13, we were kicked out of the place we were living in since the job my mom had wasn't enough to keep all the bills afloat while she was taking care of me, and he was on drugs and couldn't hold down a job, so he wasn't helping with bills either. We had to stay overnight in a hotel room, and the asshole that molested me 2 years prior was with us. She was at work this particular Saturday morning, and again, as I was sleeping in bed, I started having another sex dream. I woke up and jumped back when I realized my inner thigh was being massaged. He was hidden beneath the covers, and he looked up at me when I jumped back with a grin and said, "What?" I just shook my head with a look of freaked out disgust on my face and just got out of bed and sat in the chair near the window. That night, when we went to my aunt and uncle's house, I told my mother what happened, and again she was pissed. I don't know what she said to the guy, I don't know what she told him, but I know that the next day we went to live with my grandmother and step-grandfather without him. Actually, it was 2 days later. We spent the night with my aunt and uncle, though. We lived there until early December, though, because my step-grandfather wasn't exactly an upstanding citizen. He himself tried to French kiss me one morning before school and told me I didn't have to go. I was like, "Oh, yes I do." And on my way out the door, he gave me $5 not to tell. Well, I was so traumatized that even though I didn't part my lips to let his tongue in, hence the phrase "tried to French kiss me," I spit and spat from the house all the way to the bus stop, which was maybe a half mile down the street, if not more. I cried at school. I wouldn't talk to my friends. I wouldn't talk to anybody. And that was kind of unusual for me because even though I'm a quiet person, at school with my friends, I was more lively and happy. When my friends finally got me to tell, I unloaded with hatred, anger, confusion, and sadness. The school counselor somehow either heard me or was told, but I went to her office and told her what happened. When I got home that day, my mom was confronting him and my grandmother at the dining room table. We left that evening with my aunt and uncle, who I love dearly. And to this day, I am forever grateful to my mom for taking the initiative and getting me out of a situation that could have and would have turned worse. Oh, and I forgot to say that when my mom confronted him, he threatened her with a gun. And when my uncle picked us up, he brought his gun too. Fast forward to age 18. I had a job at this time and had a huge crush on a guy I'll call Seth. Seth was a gorgeous guy with long brown hair almost down to his waist, piercing green eyes, and a goatee most of the time, and was 4 years older than I was. I stared at him with longing every time he came to the store. I mean, I really wanted this dude badly. My problem was I was painfully shy, and I still actually am, even though I'm 39 years old now. and I had no clue how he felt about cute little black girls. Well, one day the store security guard, God rest his soul, lied and said that Seth wanted to meet me. And well, that was the beginning of our friendship. Seth came back that night and asked me out, telling me he would not take no for an answer, so of course I accepted. We talked on the phone every night, and after 2 weeks he told me he loved me. I was 18, and being a dumb girl with no experience whatsoever, I was thrilled about it. After all, he was only my second boyfriend. Well, somehow, maybe a week or two after that, my mom and stepfather were fighting like they did practically every night, since my mom was a born-again Christian and my stepfather hated that. And I was tired of all the fighting and fussing and yelling. I was telling Seth that I was tired of it, and if I had a way to leave, I would have. He was like, "I dare ya. I'll be there in 5 minutes, and I bet you won't come out." So, under the guise of letting my kitten out and taking out the trash, which I sometimes did, I slipped out the door and to his waiting car, which really was a matter of about 5 minutes. Well, about 4 days later, he gave me a drink of Jim Beam and Dr. Pepper, and that stuff was nasty. And I was fit-shaced for the first time ever. He took my virginity that night, and I don't even remember it. I just remember his face above mine. I gasped, and that was it. My friends over the years told me this was rape. As a matter of fact, when I told them about it after it happened, one of my friends picked up the phone and was about to call the cops, and I begged her not to. I felt that it was my own fault for being stupid and leaving home, and I still actually feel that way, I guess. So I really haven't come to terms with it. Here I am now, 39 years old, and I live with all of this. This is what I try to protect my own daughters from over the years, and as they are now teenagers, one who will be an adult in just under 5 months, I can't protect them forever. And she even told me that. But I want to, though, believe me, I want to. So, that being said, if you or anyone you know has been raped, please get some kind of help. Tell your family, the police, a friend, or anybody that will listen. Don't stay quiet and don't let this crime go unpunished. After this video, visit rain.org, that's RAINN.org, and do some research on the subject yourself. Find out what you can do to help raise awareness. Also, be careful out there and keep yourself and the ones you love protected. Part 2 will be coming up shortly, so please look out for that. Peace and light, everyone, and I will see you on the next upload.